We want to now derive the AS relation from the WSPS model. So let's start with what we're given. So we're given the production function, which we're going to assume is going to be y is equal to n, which means that we're assuming to produce one more unit of output, you need one more worker. We're given a WS equation, which we know is W is equal to PE FUZ, where we know P is the expected price level, U is the unemployment rate, and Z is the catch-all variable. And then we're given our PS equation, which is P is equal to 1 plus MW, capital W over here, we know WS and PS is the nominal wage, and M here is the markup. Now, so the step one that we're going to use to derive the AS relation is, so step one. Step one is that you substitute WS equation into PS equation, because see, when we want to derive the AS relation, we want to relate P and Y. So we're going to substitute the WS equation into PS equation to eliminate the nominal wage W, because we want a relationship between P and Y, so we want to nominal wage W. So what we're going to do is P is equal to 1 plus M. Now instead of W, I'm going to substitute the WS equation here, which is PEFUZ. That's the first step. So this is essentially P, W, right? This is our WS equation. So this is like W over here from the WS equation, right? W from WS equation. Right, that was step one, number one. Okay, we have eliminated W. Now step two is that you want to express U in terms of Y, because remember, when you want to derive the S relation, you want to form a relation between P and Y. So we have already eliminated W. Now we want to express U in terms of Y. So let's do that next. So step two is going to be step two is express U in terms of Y. Express U in terms, and remember, U is the unemployment rate here in terms of Y. Now we know we can write U as capital U by L. Why can we do that? Because we know the small u is the unemployment rate. So it is the number of unemployed workers. So it's number of those who are unemployed divided by our labor force. Right, so now we want to get this small u in terms of Y. So what we'll first do is we'll first use the fact that since we know L, the labor force is made up of the employed plus the unemployed plus the employed. So we know we can write capital U in terms of N, because obviously we want to get small u in terms of Y, and for that we have to first write small u in terms of employment, because then employment relates to Y through the production function. So this is like a number of employed workers. Number of employed workers. Right, so what we can do is, so now we know, okay, so we have small u is equal to L minus N by L. And what is this? This we know represents capital U. Right, so we have written small u in terms of N, which is employment. So now we can just simplify this a little. L by L minus N by L is equal to 1 minus N by L. Now we know that we've gotten small u in terms of employment, but now we want to write it in terms of output, and this is where we'll use our production function. Since the production function is y is equal to n, so small u is equal to 1 minus y by n. So here we're using our production function, that is, in this case, y is equal to n, right? This is by assumption the production function. So finally, we've gotten u in terms of y. For that, we had to first get u in terms of capital N, which is number of employed workers rather than unemployed workers, because then we can relate employed workers to output through the production function. So now we'll do the last step, which is now step 3 is, okay, we're going to replace small u with y that we just found with y in equation obtained in step 1. In step 1, we obtained an equation relating P and U. So now I'm going to replace that U with Y to get an equation that relates P and Y. An equation obtained in step 1. An equation obtained in step 1. So based on this, we can write P is equal to PE, 1 plus M, and then F. And here we had U, so now I can just write 1 minus YL and then Z. And this is our AS relation. And we know, over here, this is basically the U that we replaced for Y. So this is how in 3 steps we can derive the AS relation. First, you just substitute WS into PS to eliminate W, and then you have to express U in terms of Y to finally get a relation between P and Y as represented by the AS curve.